Welcome to Mythic Codex Legends Unveiled, the place where mythology, folklore, and legend come alive. I'm your host Eliza, and tonight we'll uncover the stories that have captivated humanity for thousands of years. Turn the page, our journey begins now. We've all heard of her, but most people don't actually know where Bloody Mary story came from. What if I told you this isn't just a game people play in the dark, but a mix of history, fear, and something we still can't fully explain? Tonight, I'm going to look into what happens when you stand in front of the mirror and call something you might not be able to take back. When it comes to Bloody Mary, there isn't just one clear origin. It's more like a mix of history, fear, and old superstition that all got twisted together over time. One of the most common connections people make goes back to Queen Mary I of England in the 1500s. She was given the nickname Bloody Mary because of the executions that took place during her reign while she was trying to restore Catholicism in England. And over time, history kind of started to shift into legend, where she's no longer just a queen, but something more, like a warning or a curse figure. But that's not only one piece of it. There's also old folklore that might have helped shape the story, too. In some European traditions, mirrors weren't just reflections, they were believed to be borders between this world and something else. People actually used mirrors in riddles, especially young women trying to see visions of their futures, like who they might marry. And when you mix that idea with fear and superstition, especially from older communities that already believe in spirits and omens, you start to get something a lot darker. Over time, all of that seems to evolve into what we know not to now, not just historical figures or a riddle, but a dare people do in the dark. Standing in front of a mirror, in silence, repeating a name over and over again. It turns into a test of courage, but underneath all of it, there's still that old fear that mirrors aren't just mirrors, and maybe something is actually on the other side looking back. See, whether Bloody Mary came from Queen Mary I or this so-called traditional thing where they think it was a boundary layer between worlds. Um, Honestly, either way, it's still scary. It's still like haunting to think about. Like going in the mirror and repeating a name over and over again and to see if something shows up or not, that is kind of scary to think about. Um so the modern version of Bloody Mary is more of a dare than anything else, but the rules change depending on who's telling the story. The most common version is pretty simple. You stand in the dark bathroom, turn off the lights, and face the mirror. Then you say, Bloody Mary, a certain number of times. Usually 3, sometimes 5, and in some versions, even 13. And after that, you're supposed to just wait and look. Some people say nothing happens at all. Others claim they see a figure behind them in the mirror. There are even versions where She scratches you or pulls at you or appears right over your shoulders. And what's interesting is how much the story changes depending on where you hear it. It's almost like the legend adapts itself over time, becoming more detailed the more it's told. So, when there is a story that goes back centuries, usually there's always multiple different stories in there because it's centuries old. People are always going to add something to those stories to make them better and scarier. So, in reality, we don't really know what legend or story is real or true at this point because things shift over time and we don't truly know what is real or not at this point. But when you break it down, there's also a physiological side to this that makes a lot of sense. Mirrors in the dark can actually mess with your perception. Your brain starts filling in the gaps, faces can distort, shadows can shift, and your reflection doesn't always look quite right. And when you're already scared of expecting something to happen, your mind starts working against you. That's where suggestion comes in. If someone tells you something scary is going to appear, your brain is already on high alert before anything ever happens. Even small movements, or changes in lighting can feel like something supernatural. And especially in group settings like sleepovers, fear spreads fast. One person gets nervous, then another, and suddenly everyone is convincing each other they saw something. So the question becomes, is anything actually there? Or is it your mind reacting to fear, expectation, and the darkness staring back at you? So I've never really did this whole Bloody Mary game we call it nowadays. I honestly, just being in the dark is sometimes scary. So why would I look in a mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times, or how many other times you think you need to say it, to possibly see something that probably isn't there to begin with? And plus, growing up, I didn't have a lot of friends. I kind of just stuck to myself. I'm not the type of person that likes being around a lot of people. I don't like group settings all that much. So I don't really understand the I do in a way that like you convincing somebody that something is there when it's not, you start to be convinced as well. So I do understand that part. I just wouldn't necessarily stand in the dark, look in a mirror, and say Bloody Mary 3 times. That's just not something I would have done. Um, Not at all. So, when it comes to Bloody Mary, maybe the question isn't whether she's real or not. Maybe the real question is why mirrors make us uncomfortable in the first place when the lights go out. Because when you're standing there in the silence, it's just you, your reflection, and your own mind starting to fill in the blanks. And that's where the story really lives, not in the mirror, but in what you expect to see when you're brave enough or maybe foolish enough to look. And the truth is, most people won't say her name 3 times in the dark, because even if nothing shows up, you're still going to wonder what almost did, and that's Bloody Mary. Here ends today's episode. I hope you enjoyed listening, and I hope you listen to the next episode. This is your host Eliza, and you are listening to Mythic Codex Legends Unveiled. Thank you for listening.